Well, I think a pretty good rule of thumb this evening and overnight tonight is if you don't have to travel, probably a good idea not to. We're looking at a lot of flooding across the Midlands this afternoon due to torrential downpours that continues to impact traffic at this hour. Take a look at these measured rainfall totals across much of Richland and Lexington counties today. Nearly 6 inches in downtown Columbia today, and most of that fell this afternoon. That caused some major problems today across many of the metro roadways, and we continue to deal with rain at this hour. Flash flood warning in effect for the entire Columbia metro for another hour or so. The rain currently not as heavy as it was earlier today for most of us, the exception being out in parts of Saluda County where some pretty heavy rainfall is ongoing, and flash flood warnings are in effect for the western tier of the Midlands as well. For the rest of us, it's steady rain, but maybe not necessarily as heavy as what we experienced at times earlier this afternoon. Category 3, Hurricane Helene is getting closer and closer to making landfall, and it should do just that later on this evening. Still expected to be a Category 2 in southern Georgia at 2 o'clock Friday morning. It won't be until later in the morning on Friday that it weakens back to tropical storm strength and then nothing more than remnant low pressure by Friday afternoon. Even though we'll be well away from the center of Helene, it does not mean we will not feel impacts. We have a lot to worry about late today and early on Friday. So let's start with Future Watch, and the heavy rain will continue at times for the next several hours. Might get some brief breaks in the rain later this evening. But then after midnight, the worst of the conditions, the rain, the wind, and the tornado threat will move through. Between midnight and 8 a.m. is going to be the peak time for all of those threats to take place here in the Midlands. So again, we'll preach that you need to have multiple ways to receive warning information and a way to wake you up if a tornado warning is issued. I'll talk more about that in a second. Finally, by about 9 a.m., most of the rain will be out of here for good, and we'll be looking to drier weather for the weekend. This is the latest model projections for additional rain on top of what we already have received. Generally looks about 1 to 2 inches for a lot of us. In the western Midlands, though, that's where we could potentially see several more inches of rain between now and tomorrow morning. Let's talk about the wind here. Growing concern that the southwest Midlands could get wind gusts that approach hurricane strength as far as the gusts are concerned. Not the sustained winds, but the wind gusts. Through this evening, the gusts will increase to about 25 to 35 miles per hour by midnight tonight. After midnight, all the way through about sunrise time tomorrow morning, that's when the worst of the wind arrives. Widespread gusts of at least 50 miles per hour. And out here near Aiken and Saluda, that's where it's possible we get gusts up to 70 miles per hour. That will certainly be enough, especially combined with our saturated soil, to cause some power outages, some trees to be knocked down.